The idea for Databells came to me just sort of spontaneously.
It's a wonderful experience.
It wasn't like a build-up of the whole thing. It knows the idea came kind of fully formed.
But I think it's really well done.
But you're never sure about such things. For every project we do, we have a description of it and how it's all going to go together and what all the parts are and all that kind of thing. And I started that document. I wrote a little description of what the Databells experience would be like. A lot of artists just keep very, very mum about all the projects they're working on. But I told everybody. I cleaned up my description of it so that I could shorten it, like your elevator pitch kind of thing. You know, it was that you'd walk into a room, there'd be bells ringing, be like a jazz club. You go up to a bell and it's a little bell and it's ringing, ding, 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 ding. And you see a little sign at the bottom of the bell and it says people born in Canada. And you look around and you realize every bell has a little sign with it and they're all ringing with something that's going on in the world. So that was my basic pitch. And the more people I told it to, they all got it. They were emotionally involved in it just from that little story and were interested and excited. They'd start coming up, oh, like you could do earthquakes or lightning strikes. The more I told it, the more people got into it and just got very, very excited about it. It gave me the impetus to say, this is going to be something that would be really interesting to people. People would emotionally connect to it. It would just be a really, really interesting experience. And we turned it into a real project then. We turned it on and started collecting bells, started working on the software and the hardware for it and designing out the whole system. Another thing that's interesting about bells and building a project around them is that bells are multicultural. There's bells everywhere. There are bells on every continent, in every country, in every city, and in everyone's life. Bells tell you when to go to the next class. Bells tell you when someone got married or someone died. Bells will tell you that there's an attack coming. Bells have these built-in emotions to them, that happiness and sadness and alarm and fear. And that's an amazing platform to build this project on. Bells have a universality and they have emotions. That ties perfectly into bringing in the data sources that also have emotions. There's a discoverability. Why is that bell over there ringing like crazy? Why is that bell over there just waiting? What is it going to ring for? And that makes you want to explore the exhibit more. I started the project using Raspberry Pis. As I knew I wanted to have a decent enough CPU to run the bells, even though it's just telling something to ring. And then COVID hit.
Coronavirus. There are fears a rapidly spreading virus has reached Canada.
Or somewhere in there, the price of Raspberry Pis went through the roof. Things that I was looking at buying for $10 or $20 were $60 or $100. And then you start multiplying that out by 100 bells, and it starts to get expensive. Then I saw a video online of somebody working with a table tennis scorekeeping thing, I think it was. He was using a little ESP32 chip, and he was getting them for $5. I said, oh my God, that's exactly what I need. It's like a really cheap little microprocessor with Wi-Fi built in. It has enough power for the project, and you can program it like an Arduino. That gives me the little CPU, but we have a bunch of I/O we want to do. We want to control relays, solenoids and motors, all kinds of stuff. So I needed a card that would allow us to do all that and that everything would be protected from static electricity and everything like that. And we wanted to put an LCD display. So my brother builds all kinds of electronic hardware. So for him, doing a printed circuit board is nothing. I got a hold of him and said, here's what, the project. I'd already described it to him. And he agreed to help me with the boards. We went through a couple of versions of them. And then we got, I think, 120 boards made. So we'd have enough for 100 bells and some spares. He put them all together, which was super nice. So now we had the building blocks for this. We have what we need to control each bell, and then we just have to write some software on a server. How hard can that be? That's an interesting thing about this project is it's a complicated thing because there are a whole bunch of pieces that require all kinds of different skill sets. So we needed electronics, we needed a board, we needed microprocessor programming, we needed server programming, and we needed to figure out how to hold the bells and how to make bells ring. And I wanted each bell to be able to ring for like 1,000,000 times. So putting all this together, plus finding the data sources, managing the whole thing, the project involved so many wide areas that we ended up bringing in people to help. People in industrial design, software people, people who are good at going and finding data out in the world. I assembled a little team to work on this. And the team has changed over time, but we had a core team of people working on this. That was essential to the project, but it again underscores how difficult this kind of thing is, and why the project took so long. We wanted to have a bunch of data sources. Data sources are things that are happening on the internet live that we can tie into, or statistical data that we can use. So we wanted to find all those and find out where we can get the best possible source of that information. Well, I made a list of data sources, just ideas. We had different people come in and help go and find all of those data sources. That was pretty neat. And then people would be interested in it and then would find their own. So I don't even know how many we have now, but it's at least 300-400, I think. Each data source has a mood to it as well. Is it a happy thing, or a sad thing, scary thing? We tried to categorize that and also categorize the bells. You don't want a kind of a happy bell to go with a sad data source. You have to also be aware of how fast can a bell ring. Like a giant, giant bell. It rings and you want it to just sort of fade out over time. So how fast a bell can ring is another important piece of information. And it all goes in the database that the software uses when it's working. So it takes a bell and then finds an appropriate data source for it and then puts those together. And it can do that, every hour or whatever, just so you switch things up so different things are happening. The data that you can find is mostly sad things or it's car accidents, people dying for one reason or another, people getting infected. It's like watching the news. The news seems to be all the bad things happening in the world. And they tag one little thing on the end where a dog rescued a cat somewhere in Oklahoma. But I didn't want all the data to be negative stuff. I wanted there to be happy news and fun things. We did not ignore the sad news, and we did not ignore the scary news. There are things like deaths and rapes and people being killed for various reasons around the world. We wanted to include those as well. An important thing to remember is people see statistics all the time. You see them, in magazines or online articles. Numbers come at you all the time. But when something physical is happening, like a bell is ringing for every time someone is killed, that becomes a physical thing, and it becomes strong. It becomes heartbreaking. It becomes real, just because you actually see that bell, bing, 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 and it's somebody dying, or somebody being born, or graduating. But it does make data real, and that's a really important thing that the Databells project does. It's taking this stuff around the world and making it real. I think probably like every painting, like every piece of art someone does, there's a feeling is how will it actually work in real life? Will it be okay? Will it be reliable? I described it like a jazz club, and that was what was in my mind. But you get 100 bells in a room, and the first versions of our software made all those bells ring whenever it was time to ring and all that. People would ask me, what is your biggest fear? And my biggest fear of this project is not that we won't get it done, that software won't work. It's that people won't be able to stand being in the room with it. We decided to record the sound of every bell with very high quality audio recording. We made a track for every bell. But there's an interesting thing with GarageBand, is that they do things on a beat. As we added more and more bells, and we were just sort of dropping them on tracks of audio, it would drop them automatically on a kind of a beat thing. And then we started looking at that, and that became kind of an epiphany. How could we make it so that the bells that are ringing at random times for random things fall on a timeline, a musical timeline? We figured out a way to do that. So we're true to our statistics, but we are displaying it in a way that makes it palatable. We finally got it all working, and we turned it on, and we were all there in the room, and we got it going. And it literally started playing a song. That was a magical thing when that happened, especially the first time. And we were all looking at each other, we were all quiet, and we're all just like, it's playing a song. And then every time we run it, the different data sources are assigned to different things, and the song is different. There are things that are going to make the big beat of it, then there are highlights, things that go rarely, and it just, I wonder if everybody is hearing the same song that I'm hearing. Do all of our minds process it in the same way? And then I see people tapping their feet or dancing to it, and they're on the same rhythm I am. So I really think it is. Our minds just want to pull together and make a song, and I think we all kind of pull the same song out of all the ringing that's happening. And it is pretty cool. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Part of what we want to create is an experience for the whole show. It's not just like walking into someone's kitchen and they have a couple of bells that are ringing. There has to be a mood and a feeling that you're going out to an event and that there's a gravity to the whole thing. So beyond, we get the bells going, we get all the data connected, all that's working, and there should be the thrill of discovery. Thank you for coming to our opening of Databells. I'm not going to say much more than that. I want you to go in and experience it a little bit.
Oh,
Press.
you haven't seen it? Oh my God.
Okay, go in.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
There should be a pathway through it, the feeling that you are on a little experiential trip. That's what we're working on as we're trying to set up this whole thing. And that we do that with the colors, lighting, and that the bells kind of glow and highlight and are the star of the show. It's interesting enough to just go into a room and see a bunch of bells that are ringing. And the bells all have story and experience to them. When you realize that there's a whole other level to the bells, it's the things that they're ringing for, the reasons they're ringing. That's really the core to the thing. That you're experiencing this sort of data that would be bland and boring if you had read it in a magazine. But when you see it happening, you see things going, you hear the bells going, and you realize this is representative of what's actually going on in the world right now, whether it's people being born or cars being built, whatever it is. It's a way of bringing data to life. And that's been a big, big part of this. It's kind of a symphony of data.
I think that anyone that's interested in the intersection of art, data, science, computers, randomness, and the future really should come and see this. It's unique in what it does. Really, really spectacular. Great event going on down here. Rich is a fantastic guy. I think he's got a great future in this sort of thing.
I think tonight was incredible. It was super technical. It had a real cadence to it, almost a spiritual effect. And for someone to come up with this and exhibit it so well is just incredible. I'm in admiration of his talent.
Really amazing event. There was something that everybody could relate to. Yeah, it's just dazzled. It's almost too fabulous for Ottawa.
It is just so wonderful to see this world-class museum-level exhibition right here in Ottawa. And I hope that it is something that we're going to see a lot more, and I hope this exhibition gets a chance to live all over the world. Fabulous, Rich. Congratulations.